reach me out. I'm available because L&T Metro has given us a WomENvision Council as place for all the expo and putting the stalls. So I'm available in one metro or the other. So you always can reach out me, and I'll leave my phone number. And as ma'ams have suggested, I'll continue till August 14th. That is Azadi ka merge ke liye. And what else will be the good thing? And empowering women towards UDHYAM registration, where they'll be self-reliant and the Atmanirbhar, where they can avail all the schemes. Ma'am, few words you can please.
Yeah, definitely. All the women. See, it is to MSME is that being the last person. Let us all start entrepreneuring. If you want to sell a pickle, if you may make a registration in MSME, it is available. Let us all empower, because we are celebrating 75th celebration of the independence. Let each girl child become an educated, and let us all be financially sound. Let us start registering now.
Few words for WomENvision, ma'am.
Yes, I'm happy. I saw here everyone is doing a good work, especially Praveena. She has taken an initiative. All the best till 40. You do lot of registration, so you are encouraging the entrepreneurs of the women. I once again congratulate. Let us all start today only to register MSME and use the governmental beneficial. Thank you.
As we can see, is basically start now, start strong, where we will discuss a little bit about how simply we can start business legally, because most people, because there are so many platforms nowadays to just start selling products or start giving services. However, after a couple of days or months of getting into the business, you realize that most of the money that you've earned, it may not be official, or you can't show it in the books of accounts. So how do we account for it, and how do we start legally the sale or providing service of whatever it is that we've started? And that's going to be today's topic. It's going to be pretty brief and very straightforward, because it is a very simple topic. And the idea behind this is to, of course, promote the spirit of entrepreneurship, as well as promote women empowerment at the grassroots level, because this not just applies to, say, professionals or people who have already been doing business for a while, but also people who are wanting to start but have the fear of getting into the business space for whatever reason, because everybody has some or the other backdrops. So we'll just get into it. I have a small presentation, so I'm just going to share that. Hope the screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's today's topic. So a little bit about why UDHYAM registration is important for us is that the Ministry of MSME has now began actively looking into the growth of the small scale enterprises, which account for a very large revenue chunk in the overall economic growth of our country. So time and again, we see a lot of schemes that pop up that are relating to MSME sector. Time and again, we see a lot of subsidies and grants that are being formulated for the benefit of various entities spread across different industries. And so, but a lot of people lack the awareness itself. And most people think, starting a business just means starting, incorporating a company, which then comes under Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And that is a different ballgame altogether, where MSME is a different ballgame altogether. The purpose of MSME registration primarily is to simplify the initial stage of starting a business and getting into the groove of sales, purchases, and the basics of how you start your entity. So essentially, how we recognize an entity to be legally a business entity, whether you are a sole proprietorship, which is just started yesterday, or if you've been in business for, say, the last 1 decade, is that you will be given UAM, which is a unique number, which is basically like an Aadhaar card. Just like how individuals have Aadhaar number, your business also will have an Aadhaar number that will be allotted to you once you register yourself for it. And what happens then is that in the government's portal, everything that you do will get tracked in terms of, say, how you publish your annual accounts, whether you've applied for certain schemes, certain grants. They will then be able to track based on this particular number and trace it back to the kind of business that you're doing, whether you were doing it properly, ethically, correctly, and in case you need more assistance from the ministry itself. So the thing is that most people, the reason we're even having this session is also because most people lack the awareness and the to sort of reduce the fear of getting into business itself. So MSME sector has a very vast contribution towards the overall economic growth of India, and which contributes to more than 45%. Especially the manufacturing sector. Service sector, of course, has an even higher chunk put together, because we are, as a country, mostly a very literate country, and we do well in the service sector as well. So there's something called as Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum, which is basically the registration certificate that gets sent to the registered email after you kind of put in all the details and everything is verified at the back end from the Ministry of MSME. And what you receive after verification and after due diligence of the matter that's been sent in the application is what we call as Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum, and is essentially the proof of your entity's commencement. Or it is basically like a PAN card or a driver's license. It's basically a license to start your business legally. Of course, you would have done a lot more sales or some amount of services and gotten money for it. That can, of course, be accounted after you get the memorandum as well. So there's no hard and fast rule that you must get Udyog Aadhaar before you start your sales or services itself. So Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum is essentially just like a certificate of your entity's registration. So we'll now talk about different types of entities and whether they're eligible for the registration. And truth be told, all of the entities are eligible for registration under the UDHYAM registration. Whether you're an individual with zero experience or you have a very large scale manufacturing entity with a lot of capital intensive work. The MSME itself stands for micro, small and medium enterprise. So the ministry has included the three categories of enterprises and has divided them by way of annual turnover. And we can see here that most of the startups, if you are just starting out, would fall under the micro category, since their turnover would be less than 5 crores. And 5 crores and beyond would then fall into small and medium respectively. So like I mentioned before, pretty much anybody as part of any kind of business can get registered under the UDHYAM scheme, and this includes sole proprietorship, Hindu undivided family, an OPC, which is a one-person company, private limited, public limited, partnership firm, LLP, cooperative societies, and association of persons. So pretty much you name anything, even if you're an individual, which is basically a sole proprietorship, you can still get yourself registered as MSME entity. So essentially, the process of MSME registration is pretty simple and very self-explanatory. Most people think that it would be time-taking or tedious and document-intensive. It's not. Most things that are being asked in the application also are pretty straightforward, and they don't need to be sort of rigid in terms of whatever you're saying, whether it's true or false, because it is for the growth of people starting out as business enterprises. So most of the details that are being asked also are very straightforward, like your Aadhaar card number for beginning with, to kind of see if you are compliant in the first place, and most of the other things are nothing but slightly easier things, like what are you going to do with your business, how much revenue are you expecting, those kind of things. And it's really not, you know, anything that is document intensive or authentication intensive. So there's absolutely nothing to fear about it, and, you know, get worried about the UDHYAM registration. Of course, there are a lot of benefits that fall into picture once you get registered, and which is why the ministry itself is promoting active registration of UDHYAM, primarily to do with subsidies and marketing promotion in those categories, because those are where most entities lack the expertise or lack the experience of. So certain benefits of UDHYAM registration, as we can see here, is that it can assist in getting certain bank loans without mortgage or collateral securities. Time and again, we see a lot of schemes pop up from the ministries, not just Ministry of MSME, but also other ministries which contribute towards industry-specific growth and industry-specific empowerment. And so it also provides, say, tax exemption in certain cases, and provides lower interest rates, gives a 50% grant in patent registration, and also other IPR related things such as trademark and other certain things. Reimbursement of ISO certification and easy procedure to obtain license and approvals. You'll also be able to get electricity at concessional rates if you're a manufacturing entity, and they would, of course, require you to submit certain documents regarding the capacity of the entity itself and how well it is being put to use. Certain other things such as subsidies, current account opening, barcode registration, octroi benefits, and other schemes that are being incentivized time and again, protection against delayed payments, and NSIC performance and credit ratings are being covered under the benefits. And we've also seen that over the last couple of years, the list of benefits has always increased rather than decreased. So it's always better to get yourself registered